Welcome to another episode of Two Ales and Hockey Tales with Wally. And today I'm so excited to have on, with no notes, a 44-year-old from Red Deer, Alberta, Canada. His hockey journey for sure has taken him to Canada, the USA, Switzerland, Germany, and perhaps some other places. He also has mucked her up for Team Canada in the Spengler Cup, the Deutschland Cup, and the World Juniors. He has to be up there for one of the best Calgary hit men ever. And he's a Zweite Bundesliga Deutsche Meister, like yours truly. Ich auch, bitte. Um, and we mucked her up way back in the day, and now he is even training NHL players on how to play the game. Welcome back, Matt Kinch.
Hey, bud. Good to see you. Thanks for having me.
Hey, pretty good intro with no notes, eh?
That's right on point. Yeah.
Winged it.
Never.
Did I miss any countries?
I think, well, Austria was there. I don't know if you mentioned
I
Austria, but
didn't
it was
say
kind of a
Austria.
lot. There was a lockout year, and I don't really count that one. That was kind of we were the guinea pig of Red Bull before Red Bull. That was the first year up in the top league in Austria, and that was the year of the lockout. So we had a few NHL guys come over that year, and they got put up to the league really last minute, but then from that point on, obviously Red Bull's kind of Munich to this, and it's the new rink in Munich looks amazing. It looks amazing. I don't know if you've seen that. Like,
I haven't seen the new one, but kind of makes me sad because, well, you're a second league champion like myself with Ravensburg, but that I won the championship in Munich in the old Olympic
old barn,
arena.
yeah,
And
yeah.
like, what a memory. It was like 5,500 people sold out, like all in the fan sections. I mean, half of them were topless. Some of the videos you can see on YouTube of the crowd during the last couple minutes is like the most electric atmosphere you could ever see, you know?
Yeah, it was a good rink to play in, right? Like, and I think they just built the other one beside, and the only reason I saw it, like, kind of follow a couple guys, and they're in the new rink this year. And I mean, Munich, it's like Berlin. They need a rink like that, but the old one was a good game. The old one.
It
Yeah.
was. Winning championships, you always remember the arena, you remember the sights and sounds, and it was pretty neat to win it in the Olympic Stadium. But Red Bull, like, do people still drink that shit?
I think that's still a thing. Like, I mean, you see it around. I mean, I don't. I mean, those days are a little bit gone for me.
Yeah, I remember back in Leicester, Michigan, when it was first coming out, the boys really liked the Red Bull vodkas and
Oh,
Jaegers, but
God.
probably keep them up a little later than they're supposed to.
Oh yeah, their hearts pumping, I think, when they start pumping those guys back.
Yeah, but they were tasty.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they went down smooth. But yeah, if you weren't a caffeine drinker, your heart was going.
Um, But so that was Red Bull when you were in Austria, because
Yeah.
I had heard tales of one of their first coaches and all the different fitness testing you'd have to do throughout the year. Were you one of those guinea pigs?
Well, we had a rocky thing. The one coach got let go, and then the other one took over. And there was a lot of different moving parts. The team wasn't very good. I mean, and in those leagues, you need the best Austrian players, and then you circle them around with, all imports are pretty close. They're going to balance themselves out. Some are good between the teams, but so they were just a year behind because they got behind it a little bit. So the team has struggled that year, and then from that point on, I mean, they've been a powerhouse. We did a fitness testing thing the one time out at there. It wasn't right in Salzburg. They had a facility just out of town, I think like maybe 40 minutes. And it was for all their athletes at that time. At that time, that was the only team that they had that was actually like a team. Everyone was like an individual sponsor, whether it was like a skier or like, whatever it was. They were just individuals. So that was the only team. So they came in and did the results. And remember they were like saying the guy who had the top fitness testing, that's the guy who should play the most. Well, that was like the 13th forward.
Oh yeah,
Like,
yeah.
this is how this works in hockey. He might have great testing, but there's a little bit more to this than
There's a little bit more to it, just a touch.
yeah. And I think shortly after they think they brought in Pierre Page, and I think that's kind of when the program switched. And I'm sure they got good people in there now. It sounds like they have an academy in that. So
Um, yeah, there was some, I don't know what you went through in Europe with fitness tests, but I did some weird ones. And it is funny to me, back in the day, there were some coaches that would act like fitness tests. actually should judge who should play the most. And I usually didn't excel at them at 5'8", with the touch of a muffin top. But then you'd get a 6'4" kid that's 20 years old that's
Yeah.
shredded, but has no hockey sense. But he can run 400 meters a lot faster than me, and I'll give him that. He's going to beat me every time.
Yeah. Well, and the German athletes, like, and like those guys they're always in great shape. Like
Oh
some
yeah.
of the guys, I was just like, holy smokes, like you guys are making us look pretty bad over here, right? Yeah,
Actually, I would say with some of their puppies over there, they were spending almost too much time in the weight room and not enough time stick handling and shooting and playing the game.
very true. Very true. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
you
remember
usually
one
get
time,
better playing hockey.
yeah, I remember one time right before this is my first year in Straubing, and that was their first year in the DL. And speaking about Munich, right across the road, they had a track. So we are going up just before a break. You get your breaks, and that was the one thing the coach said. The German coach, he said, we're gonna go do fitness testing. I think the only fitness testing we did was like the beep test around the big track. And we're running this track in Munich, and like, so slowly one by one we're fading off, and those young guys are just like still going. We're like, guys, like, let finish it. We want the break starts after this. Like, let's go. It
Yeah,
was some
the breaks are great, aren't they?
Yeah, yeah, they're nice to have.
When it's like it's all serious and you're a hockey player the whole year, but then all of a sudden November, and it used to be February too. I don't know if it still
Yeah.
is, but you get that week off and you can just be like a tourist and go relax and enjoy Europe. It can refresh you for the rest of the season, right?
Yeah, very easy to get around, right? As you know, when you're over there, you pick a spot and you're going. Like it's not super expensive, and you're gone. Like it's just a matter of getting the coaches to tell you what days you get off and when you have to be
Yeah.
back.
And then you better win the games, or else they can flip that switch on you real quick, and then all of a sudden
Totally.
you're losing your hotels and your flights and all sorts of shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh
Exactly.
man, memories. So anyways, the reason I did want to have you on though was because I saw, like, I think it's neat, right? I'm coaching under 13 boys. I'm helping out with under 11 girls, and then the senior hockey team here. I'm on 3 rosters, but I always find it interesting how the game can suck you back in, because I was out of it for 5 years, and I seem to get creeping more and more back into it. I started this, and now like my love of hockey is as much as it's ever been since I was a kid. But you've stayed in the game. You were doing the working out thing, but now you have the puck shooting place. But now you were training NHL guys.
Yeah, I got my story. I'd say it's pretty similar to yours. I went, kind of moving on from hockey for the meantime, and then I feel like I've kind of not naturally been brought back into it, not like forcefully, I guess, but yeah, this hockey
It
shooting
just
thing.
kind of happened, eh?
Yeah, yeah, it happens. And then you kind of realize, to your point, you find this, you realize all the things you loved about the game, and to be able to work with kids and then try to help with them, and try to make them better. The shooting thing's really interesting. I mean, I wasn't the guy who I was trying to get it to the shooters, but within that, I've been learned a lot here in the last, few years to helping kids get a little bit better and technique. And then the weaker kids, you see a little bit more results quicker, and the older kids, you're just giving them ideas, like the advanced kids, the AAA players, and just giving them ideas and thoughts and where they want to be. And the reality is there's a lot of parents that just, have AAA kids, and they're, the younger kids that aren't maybe in good levels, that are, higher levels, that just don't know. So it's nice to be that person for a moment, and then send them back to their teams, and work with them
So
into.
you may as well explain exactly what the shooting place is, because I know we probably did last time we talked, but it is like well, it's a puck shooting facility. You show up and do you get one-on-one training every time, or can you just show up and shoot pucks?
Yeah, I think the idea was it to be like almost like a driving range. What it's turned more into being is, teams coming in, working with teams, and then on top of that, you on the side, you're doing these one-on-one, individual programs. We've been able. It's on synthetic ice, so you can wear your skates and shoot in it, which is nice. We kind of have, I think we have about 10 lanes that are about the top of the circles down. And then we kind of got a back area that's, I'd say, for the blue line ends. So I'll take the defenseman back there and work on stuff with them back there. So
What's
yeah,
the synthetic ice like? Is it nearly like ice or not? Like
no, it wouldn't be like
you're
ice.
no, but you're at least on skates and your stick's the right length.
That's kind of the purpose behind it. And you can move pretty good on it. Like it just because it's plastic, you just got to wait for your blades to get a little bit warm. And then you start to move around and you can kind of, start to do a little bit better. The young kids have a tough time because they see it's white and they think they're going to step on it and glide. Well, it's like a face plant when you do it, right? And like the kids just want to glide and not take a
It's
couple
more
steps.
about like standing there and shooting
Yeah.
on skates, right? Which
Yeah.
makes
And then some
sense
of the
because
kids, yeah,
if you're gonna
exactly.
get a shooting technique, you got to be in your skates and have your stick at the right length and be doing it right.
Yeah, through that now we've been like teamed up with like a local source for sports place, and they'll we can do some stick testing, get the kids in the right stick, the right curve, because we all know that the prices are getting ridiculous with
You
that
don't want to
stuff.
buy the wrong stick, let me tell you.
Yeah, oh yeah, we spend all that money, so yeah, lots of good things. I got some ringette in there now, which is kind of cool. So that's kind of keeping my
You guys
nights
still got
busy.
ringette going on around there? I haven't seen ringette in a while.
Yeah, yeah, it is. Yeah. So you got the ringette. I got a girl who'll run teams through it, which is great. Girls hockey's, I don't know if it's like out there, but it's a big thing in
Oh,
Calgary.
it's big. It's big, big. It's
Yeah.
honestly, it's jammed up all the ice time around here, which it's great because you want girls playing. But like under nine in a small little town around here, it's got four teams in under nine, and it's like there wasn't even a team when I was
Yeah.
growing up, and now there's four under nine teams, and they all are continuing playing and enjoying it.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
great.
And as you know, like you see the girls as they grow up, they're developed, like they could become real good skaters really quick. They're good on their edges. It's just the shooting part that lacks. And so we were able to team up with the Girls Hockey Calgary Association, so we get a lot of their teams in. I got a girl who used to play a little bit of pro hockey out in Ontario, and she kind of oversees that. So yeah, it's been fun. It's getting, this time's like really busy, so it's a lot of some later nights, but that switches once the hockey season ends, and now we get the junior guys and the higher end guys coming and shooting around the facility. Some we had a couple of NHL guys in too. Actually, we had Rempe and the sheriff, the big guy from the Rangers,
You
kicking
had
around.
Rempe in there shooting pucks with you.
Yeah, he's in there shooting pucks. Their workout place isn't too far, so they'll come in kind of just looking to get some touches in, and yeah, so it's pretty funny to see those guys use the facility and have them around.
Well, yeah, that's good publicity too, right? Like that would attract some kids if they hear Rempe's in there.
Oh yeah, yeah. We tried to I got a picture. I got like a little wall of like some of the guys who use it. That actually Mickey's son's been in quite a bit. Landon DuPont, he's been in using it too. And yeah, now obviously they're all gone, but nice to see how they use it.
There's a lot
Same.
of hockey players around Calgary. Eh? That's where you are, right?
Yeah, yeah,
There's a lot of
exactly.
hockey people in that city.
Yeah, I think it's just a bigger city center. It'd be like, Toronto. I mean, like, maybe not quite as big as Toronto, but those hubs where you draw people in.
Right.
Yeah.
I've never been out there. The Stampede interests me.
Yeah, it might be right up your wheelhouse. We'll have
I
to get
think it would be right in my wheelhouse.
look at Benny and Levy. Levy kept telling us we'll get Levy up there and Benny. That would be a good time.
Wouldn't that be? That brings up a story because I have no notes and I didn't want to forget about this. Was my son, or we had a hockey tournament in Barrie, and the Erie Otters were playing the Barrie Colts the Thursday before our tournament started. And Stan Butler, the guy that drafted me to the OHL, never played for him. Had him on the podcast pretty early, right near the start, because I wanted to thank him for being such a great guy. Because um, when I was unsure if I wanted to stay after the 48 hours and lose my NCAA eligibility, and they wanted me to stay and said I was on the team, and we had a chat in the lobby, and he said, if you're unsure, he's like, I don't think you've played as good in the training camp as you did in the summer one. He's like, you were for sure. He's like, now you're, about here. And he's like, if you think that's what you want to do, why don't you go do it and we'll see what happens? And the door is always open. And he was such a nice guy about the whole situation. I never forgot it and had him on the podcast. And then I find out he's in Erie now and they're playing before a tournament. So we go to the game, end up getting front row seats and get to meet him after the game. And they brought us like right in on like
Oh,
with
nice.
all the guys. So like we're at the bus, I'm waiting there, and they're like, "Oh, are you Brent?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And then they bring us in, and it's me and my son, and we're with the coach, and then these scouts and these guys, all the big dogs, all the brass. and we're in this locker room with all the brass, and I'm like, my kid got to see like how hockey actually works. And it's like, well, these are the
Right.
guys actually making decisions. It's like the game just happened, but like now these
Yeah.
guys are dissecting the frog.
Everything.
And it was really neat, and took a fun selfie with the guy. I forget where the story was going, but oh, there was a kid in that game playing for the other team. I think it wasn't Erie, it was the other team, Barry. He was a big centerman, left shot, and he wore number 29. And I was watching this kid play, and I'm like, do you know why you actually wear number 29?
Yeah. Yeah. There's a reason. Yeah. That's
Because the people that haven't listened to old episodes, it's actually from Ben Thomson, not Leon Draisaitl, right?
pretty crazy story, isn't it? Yeah. How that
It's
made it on to Hockey
crazy.
Night in Canada. And yeah, Benny's on there in Hockey Night in Canada. He's at the game. They got him at the game and everything. What a guy. And he just
Oh,
like, he wouldn't even like kind of phase him. He just wouldn't know how big of a deal it is. He just kind of like, yeah, this is great. This is nice of them.
when
And then
that
that makes
happened, it was right around when I had had him on the podcast and we had talked about it. And then all of a sudden he's on Hockey Night in Canada telling everybody, and Leon Draisaitl was on there telling everybody why he wears number 29. And we were the ones bucking up with him in the second league in Germany.
yeah, so funny.
It
Yeah,
is awesome.
yeah.
I had no idea when I was playing over there that his dad was your coach.
Well, and I mean, I never had any English guys over there or like whatever North American guys. I always had German guys, and and everyone told me Drysdale, like the German guys would tell me about Drysdale's dad. They were like, yeah, like he was like one of the top guys like that ever played in the league over there, and like spoke like had an edge and played with this. And then they showed me the one highlight that they had of him and the against Sean Burke and the I think it was like the Albertville Olympics when the puck like rolled and stopped on the. So I'm checking all this out, and then obviously, fast forward a few years later, and we're watching this stud NHL player who's probably the top two or three in the world. Like he's
Yeah,
unbelievable.
he is unbelievable, and he plays tough, he plays hard, and he plays both ends of the ice. Yeah,
Yeah,
and
never makes excuses. I just like it. I mean, he's like he owns it when he's not good. Like I just yeah, your respect for those big players like that. They're just hey, I wasn't good, and I got to be better.
well, and I think it's so neat how guys get their numbers, right? It's like I have two jerseys. I have a number 18 for Raw in Cardiff and a number 10 for a fella from Western Michigan that I found out through doing the pod that they had worn my number from I from me, and they gave me their jerseys. So now I have those jerseys, and I think it's the coolest thing that somebody in the world ever wore a number because of me. But then to think Leon Draisaitl wears number 29 because of you.
Yeah,
Like Benny's like the same as me. He's a little right shot guy from the middle of nowhere.
yeah,
And now Leon Draisaitl wears 29 because of you.
unbelievable, right?
It
Yeah,
is.
it's crazy. Yeah,
But yeah, I saw that kid wearing 29 and he was playing like Leon. And I'm like, you're idolizing him. And I'm like, Leon doesn't play anything like Benny, but
no,
but he wears number 29 because of him.
he loved the way he played. He would just be many flying around the ice, and
He was a great player. I had a ton of respect playing against Ben. I mean, that's how I started having you guys on. Was it isn't it interesting when you play in a league? You know who you respect and who are the players, and it's interesting even in under 13. Like these kids know the same thing. It's like you ask them, who's the best player on that team? Who's the best player on that team? They all know.
yeah, yeah, that's right. Exactly, exactly. Yeah,
So
it's
should we get into the NHL stuff? Because I think it's really neat.
sure.
So the only thing that I think it's cool is like how I've started to get sucked back in the game was I wanted to get better at coaching for my under 13 boys, and I like it. I like being good at what I do. And O'Reilly, I knew he didn't have many people around to skate with anymore because he's getting older and there's not many guys around. And threw it out there that I used to skate with when I was a player, and I was like, so if you need a guy to move the pucks, I can move pucks for you and I can come out and help you out. And my CEO said it was okay, even during the work days, which was incredible.
Yeah,
Really appreciate it. But he said that would be awesome. Please come help me. And then I did. The first time was just me and him for an hour and a half. and I couldn't believe it that it was like me and Ryan O'Reilly on the ice for an hour and a half doing stuff, and he was explaining every drill, why he was doing it, what he was working on, and I learned a ton. And then, well, there was half the ice that was empty. I'm like, can my son come out? So then he came out and got to do stuff at the other end. And then near the end of practice, because he is who he is, O'Reilly's like, tell your son to come down here. And then he actually did a couple drills with him. And like to see your son do a couple drills with like a Hall of Famer, and you're like, I can't believe I pulled this shit off and I'm actually helping him and my
Yeah.
son's out here. So then I kept pushing the envelope because that's who I am. And every time we were doing it, I would bring out one or two of my son's friends that I knew I was going to coach or have coached. So
Oh
then they
yeah.
would get the experience and like get a little, a little more into the game and think it's pretty cool. And that I pulled it off for you and I brought you here and you get to skate with him. And it was so cool. And then the last time I skated with him, he gave me we got off the ice and he said, Wally, took the tape off his stick, signed it, and said, hey, thanks for the help this summer. And it just meant the world to me. And now it's up in my son's room, you know?
That's awesome. That's so good. Yeah,
Oh,
that's
and
those are the
he's
things
quite
that
the
make,
dude.
yeah, you think he's pretty well respected, that's for sure.
Oh, yeah. So how did you get into coaching NHLers?
I don't know how my name got put forward, but I like in the summertime, and it started in end of June and kind of led right up into training camp. So the way it works now is they're allowed to supply the ice. You're allowed one coach to kind of come on, and they pick the power skating coach to here to do it, and they can supply the facilities. It's part of the CBA, I guess. And so they need someone to kind of essentially they need someone to run the ice times. And somehow my name got put forward, and I live pretty close to where the rink is. Otherwise, I don't know if if I was driving, every day, that would be, quite a trek and trying to fit it in through everything else you're trying to do with life. But yeah, so it started off very like similar. So a lot of some of the guys were right at the end of June. It was kind of some of the guys that were kicking around. Some of the guys are getting ready for the prospect camp. Sometimes you had like four, sometimes I'd be out with one. Kind of after
Are
that
these all Flames guys?
all like a part of the Flames organization. So some of them at that time, I'd say it's like some like AHL because the Wrangler teams, like the AHL teams in Calgary too. So I had a couple guys, local guys, just kind of coming out and shooting and some draft picks, I would say. And then that kind of turned into, through July because you know how it is. Guys are just doing it a little bit on the ice. They don't want to do too much just yet. And then once it kind of got after the long weekend of August, it started to kind of pick up. And now all of a sudden you're hitting 10 guys and a lot of I'd say the American Hockey League guys right away were coming in, and then which is pretty cool, right? You're around these guys, and you have to be pretty
Whether the
prepared for like,
whether they're East Coast guys, AHL guys, or NHL guys, they're all professionals, right? And like if they're hockey guys, they're out there to get better and they want good drills.
yeah, to your point, I did the other thing. Like in August, I brought out my son because I thought, hey, here's the next level. Like, come see it. And they're
Come
good
check
about
it out.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a couple kids, like the one coach in the American Hockey League, his kid plays in the north of like the Knoll down there. So there was a couple guys. So I'm like, come out and just see it. And it was just eye opening to him, just saying, like seeing how hard these guys are working, and the camp's still 5 weeks away. And that's like, there's no off button, right? And I think that like seeing how hard they're committed to because they're coming off their workout right into an ice time, and not that he's not doing that, but it's at a different level as we all know when you go through that. So that was pretty cool. And then from that point on, it started to like tricky part about the practice plans were like I could have one guy or I could have 12. So you're going very generic. Like one time the one guy was a D man. So we just did, plays in the American Hockey League. He had some games last year. You get some if the Flames kind of go the other way. He'll get some games this year, but I'm out there like skating around, trying to keep up, take the shirt off because I like the jacket off because I know I'm gonna be,
You got
it's
to
gonna
work.
make yeah, it's gonna make me skate here. Yeah, might be time for a skate sharpen. Uh,
You don't get your skate sharpened much as a coach.
no, yeah, I was like, it's been a while, so we got so I was prepared the next time if that happened. But yeah, as it leads up, and obviously more guys start to come in. They have the rookie camp, I think the beginning of September, so a lot of those guys were in, and then the big boys start coming in. So typically, what would happen is they have two sheets of ice for the first 30 minutes, kind of run them through drills, and then they jump over to the other side and kind of play games and I'd stay on similar to what you were doing with O'Reilly and any guys who want to like puck touches or passes or I'd stay out on that side. Sometimes the goalies would stay over there for extra goalie work, and the guys
So
wanted to
they do
play.
30 minutes with you, and then they could do what they wanted, or they do their little small area games or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah, exactly. So yeah, but when the big guys started coming in, it was it's just I guy to be showing up, and then I'm kind of on the board explaining it, and then one guy kind of spoke up, and I looked up, and I didn't know. I was like, oh, it's Kadri, and I don't know why it kind of took me back because one, I didn't, maybe because I just didn't know he was there, but two, I was like, oh, geez, that's Kadri,
Right,
Kadri to me, so I'm kind of
right.
like, oh,
I
a little bit
it
of
was honestly it was weird for me because I mean I got older than him, but when I was out there and like Ryan O'Reilly actually wanted me of anybody to help him, and then I was
yeah,
actually out there one on one with him, and like we spoke the same language when it came to hockey, and everything he was saying made a lot of sense. And it was I don't know, I felt like a fan. I didn't feel like a hockey guy. I felt like a fan helping a
yeah, it's kind of
superstar.
like that, yeah. Yeah, when I was kind of coming out, I was like two or three kind of moments where I was like, okay, well, like whatever's Lombardi, the guy from Florida signed here, and I'm thinking like, and I was putting a lot of pressure on myself. I wanted to make sure these practices were,
No
good.
shit. If you're gonna do it, you gotta do it right,
You
right?
got like not just dealing with like 15 guys. There might be 28 guys. Like now you want to make sure they're getting enough reps. And so I'm like going over these things and I'm out there. And so I'm thinking to myself, well, this guy just got coached by an NHL champion like Maurice, you know, Paul Maurice. Like that's the comparable I'm getting compared to right now. So, like not like that's what they're thinking, but
But
we all
everybody
saw in
comes
practice.
from somewhere. It's like I remember him when he was just coaching the Kitchener Rangers and I was growing up, right? It's like
Yeah.
he won it where he was and then he kept moving up.
Yeah, so I mean that was kind of the trick was like, we want to make sure the practices are good. And then I think I realized two things to your point. One, you know, a lot more than what what that you're giving yourself credit. And two, these are still hockey players, and when we played hockey, they want to be told what to do,
And
and they don't
why?
want to like what we're doing. Have to think about what they're doing, what they're gonna do. So I mean, that was the conversations were with Backlund. Hey, like this is what I got planned. You need anything else? Yeah, can you mix in this? And this is like skating around on the rink. So I'm like, okay, well, okay, we got to slide this in, slide this in somewhere because Backlund wants to do 2-on-2s down low. Okay, well, I guess we got to throw that in there at the end.
Well, but I think that's good coaching is asking people what they want to do. It's like when you're just telling everybody what they're doing, it's like, well, are they actually enjoying it? Or is there something they actually want to work on? And why not listen to them? Why not do what they want to do?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. So I mean, I thought I had a lot of fun with it. The guys were great at the end, and and I think one of the best things about just being around it is just how professional hockey players are. It's like they come on, they introduce themselves, it's a handshake. It's like, hey, thanks, nice to meet you. Thanks for doing this for us. I was like, that kind of made it worth it because it was quite, you got lots of time here. It's a lot of ice times. I'd say it probably maybe by the end, like 40 ice times, but it all said and
Did
done.
you get
So
any compensation for this?
those guys were great. They tipped at the end, and yeah, so that was nice that they did that and didn't
Yeah,
hurt that.
kind of. I was like O'Reilly. I mean, he gave me a stick that was signed. It's like that's worth more money than I mean,
Yeah,
I don't
exactly.
need anything else.
Yeah,
I had a
no,
great time and I learned lots. And then I used those drills with my kids that then ended up winning all Ontario. And he let me bring out a bunch of them that got to skate with him and then
yeah,
were inspired and went out and won me all Ontario. So it's like, hey, I'll help
we
you
got
any
more of
day,
it.
man. You just let me know.
Exactly, exactly, right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And hockey connections. It's like me doing this. Um, like if there was a day I wanted to try and be a coach someday and my kids were grown up and out of the house, it's like, well, hopefully I know enough people. But when I was a player, I don't think I knew enough people. I was in Elmira, Ontario. Then I go to Western Michigan, who wasn't that good at the time, but they are now. And I don't think my name was out there that much, but like my hockey network wasn't very big. And it does matter knowing people and people knowing you.
yeah, no, it's true. That's kind of how yeah, like I said, I don't know how the opportunity came forward. I mean, there's lots of guys, great coaches around here that there probably is you where you're at. And yeah, I was like, I'm gonna do this and then I'm gonna try, when the big boys start coming in, you're kind of like, okay, this has got to be legit. Like You guys are expecting good practices, so let's make it happen.
I where I am is not like Calgary. There's no for you to get the call. That's cool because there's a lot of hockey guys out there. Around here, I mean, there's guys that have played a bit, but I mean, I'm in the middle of nowhere. Like, there's not a lot around, but I do have a lot of puppies that have a lot of potential, and
Yeah.
it's really neat to see them become hockey guys. And my next question is, have you ever coached an actual team?
Yeah, I'd come to do what you were doing. Like I was coaching up through the ranks, right? And I
Yeah,
think that it is more valuable than what people think. Like I've had buddies who just jump into coaching or jump into scouting, but when you've kind of stepped through it and watched it, and I like obviously my son's kind of at that junior level, so you're kind of watching those steps go through it, and then you remember going through those steps too as a player. I think that makes a big difference. To coach kids, it's like, you gotta things gotta work, they gotta make sense. The communication's gotta be point on. If you can do it with them, then should be able to translate as you get older. So yeah, I did do that.
I agree though, and I said this to a couple people. It's like I think coaching pro is one thing. It's like they're getting paid, they want to do well, make more money. Um, Coaching kids, you first have to, I find you want them to just like I try to get them to just love the game and think it's the funnest thing ever and that they're on the funnest team ever and they just love it so they want to get better at it. But then you're not just coaching them. Um, there are also parents that you have to get on the same page as everybody. And there's more to it than just coaching the athlete,
Yeah, true.
you
Yeah,
know?
yeah.
But
It
when
is.
you see it all come together, and it's like then you see all the parents sitting right together and they're like a family, and you're like, boom, we're doing it. And
Yeah.
my trick was at the last tournament was I got them to do moo-offs. I got when the kids went to bed in the hotel and we were at the party room, I got grown adults to get down on all fours and have a moo-off and whoever laughs first loses and you have to maintain eye contact. And it was a epic minor hockey evening. And and then the
Team
next
bonding.
yeah, and then the next day we went into the finals and I saw all the parents like come sit right together. And I
Um,
knew everybody was talking about the moo-offs the night before. And I was like, they're coming together on me. I like it.
yeah, yeah, yeah. The best that's like that is. It's not just the hockey. It's all around that stuff, right? It's a big deal when you get the parents involved. You want to make sure the parents are understanding everything that you're trying to do, and
And
it's
yeah,
and when kids are kids, you got to play kids. You got to we got to make sure. And there's going to be scenarios where maybe it's 2 minutes left, and we're going to put out the kids that are going that time. And it's always what I think if you're communicative and you kind of set that up, then it makes a lot of sense, right?
I totally agree. I said it in my first parent meeting this year. I said, I plan on rolling lines. I plan on being ahead in games and rolling lines, and everybody plays. And I said, everybody needs to get better and be the best they can be by the end of the year for us to win. But I said, then there's also going to be games that when you're losing is when a coach needs to change the game and needs to find a way to win. And then things are going to get different. And it does happen. You have to do what you got to do, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But
That's exactly it.
when you were talking about all the other things that go with hockey, it's like when I was done, and I know it's probably similar for you. When you're done and you don't have a team anymore, and you don't have those 20 built-in best friends for a year. Um, when I did get to go skate with O'Reilly, and my CEO said it was okay and trusted me to do it and said I could still get my job done, and I agree. Um, when I would go there on like a Tuesday at noon and skate with 6 pro guys or 7 pro guys. And I was just out there moving pucks and helping out how I could. But then I'd have my puppies at the other end doing their thing. Just being in the locker room with a bunch of hockey guys, like for the 20, 30 minutes before and after, it's like, well, this is what I miss. It's like all of us shooting the breeze about where we've played and where we've gone and what we're doing and who knows who. And it's like, oh my God, I'm back.
Yeah, no, it really is. Yeah. And I was just that like step further is like when we all played back at home, just realizing because in Europe it's not by any means you're not getting treated terribly, but you realize how back home how well you're getting getting treated. Like you're kind of setting up in this nice room. You got tape, you got this, you got like this is summer stuff, and everything's on call. Like here, take as many drinks as you forget those little things and being around that professionalism here. Not that saying it's not like that in Germany. It's just some really good places in
I think
Europe.
you were playing in different places than me in North America because I was in Dayton, Ohio, the one year I played professionally, and we were not treated that well when it came to the extras. So
Yeah.
um, we weren't getting drinks or anything really. Sometimes
Yeah.
they couldn't even get sticks. Even in the finals, we were playing for the championship, and guys couldn't get sticks. So
Oh, man.
yeah,
Yep.
but when you talk about NCAA, I just saw that they're gonna let
Mhm.
OHL, WHL guys now be able to go to the NCAA. That changes the whole game for so many people. I don't even want to get my head around that one. But when I was in the NCAA, you got whatever you wanted. Those schools have so much money, skates, sticks, equipment, swag. Like it, then I remember people saying, like, appreciate this because you get to pro, it's not like this. And then you get to the coast and you get nothing. And you're like, wow, we really had her in the NCAA.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be really easy. Like I'm kind of, my son's he's supposed to go in next year. And so I'm hoping that, that's still the plan and that still goes through. It's going to change the landscape of everything. Like I think guys are going to, and the other way, right? Like now American guys, they can come up and play in
And go
Canada.
back.
Yeah. And they don't have to worry about, so it changes it both ways, which will be really, really interesting to see how this
It
all
it
plays
it
out.
it's very interesting because it seems like it gives guys the opportunity to do both, but it also takes away the opportunity for guys that are the late bloomers that shot, they get their chance because of, and then they go out and do it and then make it.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, for my son, I mean, we had the COVID year, so I was like, well, what? You got to go play in the WHL for 2 years, and then you have nothing. Like, I was like, this is the best option. Like, go give yourself time, go play this way. If that wasn't the case, like obviously, if we knew what we know now, you would
You would
have
have
said,
done it.
yeah, go play for 2 years, because then after the 2 years, you'll go down to play college somewhere. So there's it's going to be a little bit messy here for a little bit, I think, on both sides, and
So
yeah.
where is he planning on going? Because we've talked about him before. He was playing for
He's playing for
Maloney, right?
Maloney now. Then Maloney traded him. Can you believe that? Maloney traded him.
Maloney traded your son after you guys won a championship together.
Yeah, wasn't that garbage? The
What
fun.
did what do you have to say to you about that? Did he give you a call?
He did give me a call ahead of time, and then kind of ironic is he didn't really do his homework. I mean, he was trying to make a team to make a run, and they traded for a guy who was in the All-Star game, and then the only way the trade would happen is if my son was going back the other way. And they were actually trying to get rid of this guy because he was a little bit into the weed and drinking and gambling. So Maloney took
Yeah,
this guy on.
good player, just didn't have the other
Yeah, so these guys
things.
were trying to get rid of him because they're like, hey, like 20-year-old kid, like this guy's like the players wanted him out. But Maloney didn't really see it. He saw,
He saw the player.
all-star player and yeah, good player but he was so far gone this year. He was having a tough time. And I talked to Maloney about a month after and I said, hey, like, just so you know, this is what's going on because they switched billets essentially. The two kids, like my son went to that kid's billets and vice versa, and then so he was hearing it on both sides from his old billets and the new people that he was living with. And I just said to him, like, you got to get a hold, like as a friend, I said to Maloney, like, get a hold of this guy, like this is what's happening. This guy has got a scholarship on the line. Like, he's a 20-year-old kid. Someone's got to help him. Like, I just, yeah, I felt like it was the right thing to do. It had nothing to do with my son
Right.
going the other way or anything like that. But yeah, it's pretty unfortunate.
Hopefully he sorts it out.
Yeah.
It's been interesting doing this and talking to people as I do get messages from people around the world, and I've had a couple where mental health has come up. And then
Mhm.
people write to me about what it means to them and all that. And like it is a real thing. And you do need to be able to talk to people and you need people to help you, you know?
Yeah, I just thought it was really interesting. I thought as billets, I said, like, I think billets sometimes feel like they think that they're going to get in trouble for like they're worried that these scholarships. No, no, like you're trying to do it so this doesn't happen. Like, don't let it go on any further. And I said that to Dylan that he should be telling these people to talk to the coaches because this is, he's got a problem and maybe he doesn't realize, or maybe he does, but like, there's a lot on the line here. Like, and he's a kid and he's away from home and he lives down east. So like help this kid out.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
Um,
anyway, yeah,
where's your son supposed to be going? If he did he
so
get a
he's supposed to go to Long Island University. So it's a new program. It's an independent program. Um,
D1?
yeah, D1, yeah, a few years old. So I think it's a good option for him I hope the option's still there. I really do. I hope this all works out because I'm not sure what's going to happen here. But yeah, I hope it all works out and he can get that opportunity to kind of do what you got to do and then extend it and see what happens after that, I guess.
Right, and it is a great opportunity playing at Western Michigan. Like I, I it was the perfect school for me. It felt at home. I mean, it was a party school and also like fun, and then they loved hockey, and it was so cool. I just wish we would have been better because losing sucks, and when you'd be winning there, it was like life can't be any better. But then if you'd lose, it would just be so different. And we did more of that than win. But I can't imagine what it's like for kids now that go to Western Michigan. Like they're a wagon now. They're pumping out pro hockey players like crazy. I
Yeah.
had the coach on the podcast after I went to the golf tournament and finally went back. And
Mhm.
he's doing it the right way and he's doing it for the right reasons and he's doing it for the kids. And to see what they're doing now, man, is I couldn't imagine what it's like to be a Bronco.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's there's a lot of money in that stuff right now, that's for sure. And I think maybe might happen here is now you'll maybe push off and you'll get into some of these like Portland, Oregon. I think it's just going to expand because I think there's just so much money into it if they can find these hockey hubs like on the West Coast because there's not a lot of those schools there.
There'll be more programs popping up for sure. But like
I think so.
the thing that's weird for me is like, so how does that work? Because the OHL and all those places were giving out school packages, but you had to use them right after, or if you went pro, then they were gone type of deal.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
it's like, so now what happens? You're giving them a school deal, but then they're going to go get a school deal anyways.
Yeah. Yeah. It's gonna be messy. And someone told me there's a rule if you're signed, but those are the top dogs, they're signed, they're not going anywhere, they're gonna be done. I don't know what's gonna happen. Like, or do you lose now a stud 18-year-old in the Ontario League to go play college? It's gonna be
Well,
there's
and
gonna be
like the interesting part for me is like I didn't go to the OHL because I didn't think I was ready, and I didn't think I was ready to be playing against those huge big 20-year-olds, and I was a little guy. And then it, my Western Michigan career went, and like I was ready come my second or third year at Western Michigan, but I wasn't before that. And my OHL career would have been done. And
right.
I don't think I would have been as ready for pro hockey as I would have been when I left Western Michigan at 22, 23.
Right. Right. Exactly. Yeah. And the only I think the ideal way would be, if you feel for the kids that played like 5 OHL games and then they never play another game, I feel like that makes maybe more sense than opening up the whole borders. But I mean, this is what, it's going. So
To me, you're right. I would say it would make more sense if you've played under 20 to 30 games or something like that. And it's like, then you're still eligible. But you go out there and are putting up 90, 100 points, and now all of a sudden NCAA teams can pay you too. It's
yeah,
gonna get crazy.
pay you to come. And now you're like the OHL, the CHL, which prides themselves on the number one program filtering people into wherever, right? Like,
Yeah.
there's a guy in Calgary there, and he was up, and I coached him a little bit, and he was a seventh overall pick to Ottawa this year, Carter Yakmanchuk. And I said, okay, so ideally he signed a deal, so he's ineligible. What if he didn't sign a deal? He came back, like he scored 30 goals last year in the WHL. As a defenseman, what the hell? It was got to score 40 this year. Like, go send him down to play with BC and play against older guys, and like that's the stuff that's going to be really kind of interesting. We're not going to sign you.
And then what are those schools willing to pay a guy to come?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
These kids are living now.
Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Like I never got paid to be a Western Michigan Bronco. I couldn't imagine making money to go to university and play hockey and have fun.
Yeah, and get paid for. Yeah, you did it for free. Well, not free. You got a scholarship out of it, but you didn't have to ask, right? You're
Um,
happy with the dorm food.
just had dorm food was great. Um, yeah. So here's a fun fact for you because you played in Germany with me. This Saturday, I am having Cabina Fest in Kincardine, Ontario, Canada.
Nice.
I made my Spätzle today. It's all
Oh,
ready. I got my Spätzle mit Speck, and then I'm gonna add a little bit of Cass on there.
yes.
Yeah, I'm gonna have some Spätzle with bacon and cheese, and it's all prepped and ready. And then I got a couple griddles right here, actually. And we're gonna go win a game, and then the arena guy is a beauty. And helped me out with setting me up with O'Reilly and all that. But he has let us use a room. And then right after we smash this team, I'm gonna heat up the Spätzle and we're gonna have a Cabina Fest in under 13 in Canada.
Nice. Love it. I love it. Those are good
Did you
times.
have any good Cabina Fests in your day? Did
Yeah, I
Ravensburg
went
have
to,
Cabina Fests?
yeah, all the time. Yeah, I think it was kind of one of those things. If you're with a good group of guys, right? Like the German guys are like they kind of got a spirit a little bit, and then we're foreigners. We're all over it. Like that was just a good time to be able to do it, and we'd always take turns on who was kind of reliable for picking up the tab, and but yeah, some good times, some good times.
Oh, Cabina Fests were great. I mean, I don't think I loved the game that much when I was in the East Coast that year in Dayton. I mean, we went to the finals, almost won, but I wouldn't say I was really loving life. But then when I went to Landshut, Germany, and you have a Tuesday practice, and then they set up the tables in the room, and two guys bring in like the half chickens with the sauce and potato salad, and
Yeah,
then cases of beer, and you all just sit around in the locker room
yeah.
eating and drinking beers, and you're like, where am I? Like hockey's fun again?
Those are great. Yeah, I could play there forever. Yeah.
That's what I
Actually,
was thinking. Yeah,
you didn't see it, but I saw that Levy was back in Germany. He went to Oktoberfest, so he was
he did.
back setting roots. Yeah, heading that up. Yeah, I saw a couple videos of him doing his thing, being Levy.
I
Yeah,
gotta pay attention to what other people are doing more that have been honest. I've talked to so many people now. It's like, well, how can I keep up with what everybody's doing? I don't even know what to do.
yeah, okay, stuff. You're a busy guy. You're in demand.
I'm not, no, I did. Sometimes like I just don't know which way to go next. Do I go Germany way or do I go UK or do I stay at home? It's like which direction do I go next? It's really fun to have the options, you know?
Should do a
People kept
podcast.
telling me I was going to run out of guides. It's like actually the opposite has happened.
Yeah, you should. And like I said, a podcast should be done in Oktoberfest, Cabina, the land suit,
Do
when
you
the
imagine like
Ravensburg Tower Stars.
we we there's so many opportunities if we just had backers behind us, you know? It's
Yeah,
like if we could bring back a bunch of dandies to Germany and put on a game, or the UK, or even around here and get a bunch of guys back. But what I am doing is having a golf tournament. So all this fun I've been having and all this shed family I've built is I'm having a golf tournament May 24th in middle of nowhere in Canada. And I told the golf course I could get 112 golfers. So I have to pay for 112 either way. So pressure's on. But I'm opening it up to the kids too, because I think last time I did it, I got 76 golfers and it was only adults. And I think everybody that was there had a good time. So I'm hoping they'll come back. But then I was like, so if I've coached more teams now, I've met more families. I'm like, well, if I open it up to the kids and the parents and like the kids could come and meet hockey guys that I know, that would be a cool day for them. But it'd be even cooler for me that I could do this for them, you know?
that's a pretty good idea. I think
I
that'd be
thought
good
so.
fun. Yeah. Oh gosh.
So
That's
May 24th, Kincardine, Ontario, Canada, folks. Be there, be square.
We'll be there. Take the flight in.
Hopefully, I hope I can. If I could sell out a golf course from talking in my shed, I think it would be. I don't know. I don't think I'd be able to handle it. You know,
Pretty good accomplishment.
it would be. But I think it'll be the coach and the families around town. I think that will. I'm hoping that is the main driving force
It
behind.
gets it to the
Yeah,
capacity.
and then all the out of towners that come in, I just hope they behave.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, and there's always golf tournaments are always fun, especially if it's a nice day.
I agree. Well, knock on wood, but I mean, if you have a good attitude, usually it doesn't rain. All right.
That's yeah, you can rain or shine, you can always have a good time.
I agree. So since you're into this coaching thing now, I guess somewhat kind of, I mean, skill stuff, right? What's your favorite drill? What's your go-to when you get the boys out there?
Oh, I think that when we're doing stuff with them, I think with the Flames guys, it was a lot of well, I mean, at that time of year, it's a lot of like a lot of flow stuff, right? You're getting to touch it. They want to be moving. They don't want to be chipping it off the wall and grinding. It's all like flow, right?
You're not
That's
just making them skate around pylons and shoot them on the net like all those other
no,
skills
no.
guys, are you?
Yeah, no, and then you can, and then like on, as a D man, you're kind of like, I want to get the puck touches and the passes up and the D's and this. I think a lot of stuff around that. I kind of had like not a, I wouldn't say a system, but it was kind of like, shooting drill 1, 2. Then we're kind of getting into some flow stuff like 2-on-1s, maybe some 2-on-2s at the end. And then 30 minutes goes pretty quick with those guys, right? Like you don't
30
have to,
minutes would go really
yeah.
fast.
Yeah, you don't need a lot. You need about 4 or 5 drills, and then you're kind of they're hopping over, and they're sometimes the guys are looking, okay, that's good. And I just ask them, you got one more? Like you need another one? Nope, we're good. We're going over the other side. So, yeah, that very similar to how you probably would run it. It's a couple of good puck touch shooting drills, passing drills to get them going, and then it was into some sort of like DDD and up, whether that was a 2-on-0 or a 2-on-1, and then maybe more game like stuff, 2-on-1, 3-on-2 stuff to kind of finish it. And those guys would be like, okay, we've had enough of you. I want to go dangle on the other side.
Right. Kids do like to dangle these days, don't they?
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
I don't know, it's weird for me because I never really did the summer skills stuff. Especially when we were in Germany because well, when I was in Bietigheim, they'd make us show up July 1st and there was no ice for 6 weeks.
Don't
So
go run or yeah.
so you just
We're into
run around a track, you lift weights 3 times a day. Just give her, can't walk, can't do anything, can't wipe your ass. But it's like, well, why am I gonna skate if I'm not gonna skate for 6 weeks when I get there? It's like, so I'm gonna take a break before I have to work out like crazy. And then I just wouldn't skate. But then when I went out with O'Reilly and when I was a player, it was when I was gonna play in Cardiff and their summer skates were he makes it intense. You try hard, you try to get better, but it's also like kind of fun. And you're like, so you guys all show up, work hard, try and get better and have fun. And I'm like, so I should have been doing this the whole time.
yeah. Yeah, well, it is a lot different. Like the skills, the individual skill stuff, that is like something else now, right? Like there is so much of that where you're bringing out these like stick handling things, and that, like, I think that was like a lot of the beginning of the summer with those guys, and just wanting to get like the touches, right? The reps, the touches, the touches.
Well,
I
then
mean,
if
we
you're
did,
doing 2-on-1s, 2-on-2s, though, you're also getting into the real hockey stuff too, right?
yeah, that was more kind of like I would say, right before camp when all the guys were there, like when the majority of the 30 guys from between the American League guys and NHL guys were there. That's kind of when we were doing that stuff. But at the start, you're doing like, yeah, it's all skill stuff. And it's so different than what we did. We just kind of do a couple drills and then we scrimmage, right? Like that's how summer ice used to be. It was just do a couple drills and we're gonna play shinny at the end. And some of those dedicated guys would maybe skate a couple lines at the end of practice, and that was it.
One thing I thought was neat is like I don't like if I'm gonna get into a team, may as well get into it. I my under 13 team is my team, but then the senior team, the coach is a good dude that asked me to help. And I know all the guys from when I played there, and most of them are still there. And it's the same dudes that I had a great time playing hockey with. And then I go to practices, I joke around with them. I ran yesterday's practice. coach wasn't there. So I run the practice. I'm joking around with them. We're having fun playing hockey. And then I finished my practice and I thought it was hard. And I don't bag skate people. And then I saw a couple dudes start skating lines on their own. And these are guys playing hockey for free. And I thought, wow, like these guys want to win. Like they're going to go do the extra mile after practice right now and skate lines for nobody's telling them to do it. And I was like, huh, that's cool. And I'm like, I'm in. If you guys care that much, then I do too. You know?
Yeah. 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 It was a pretty big eye opener when I was with the Flames guys. It was like, the guys are in such good shape now. And no
Not
one's
like
skating.
me.
No one's skating lines at the end. Like, they don't have to worry about they're in good shape. Like that was a thing, right? We'd all do it. It was like, okay, I got to get that skate in. I got to get my legs underneath me and my lungs. We'd be doing it, or you go to camp in Germany or wherever you're at, and that was like always the end. The last 10 minutes, you're going, right. You're trying to keep up with the guys in front of you. You're telling the fastest guy to like, hey, slow it down because
We got to stay together
the
here.
circuit side, yeah. Yeah. Especially if he's a young guy. Hey, like don't be showing off
Hey,
here.
hey,
Stay in
yeah,
the pack.
yeah, bring it back, boy.
Yeah. Yeah. You can lead it, but just make sure we're close by, right?
Right. You can win, but not by
Yeah.
too much.
Yeah. Or like these guys are like, they're in such good shape now, right? There's none of that. There is no need to be skating them or, doing that. I think over the course of those few weeks, like I bet you there was a couple guys one that were skating themselves at the end. Like that was about it.
Well, I heard you say like I surprised they called me or this or that. And it's like, well, when I look at your resume when you came to the second league of Germany, and I was there having a great time. And then they started signing dudes like you, and I was like, I was having a great time. Like, what the hell? And then like you played in the Spengler Cup. You're one of the best WHL defenders ever if you look at the stats and the winning and all that. And then the AHL and all the stuff, the Swiss A League, um, you were as qualified as anybody. And it's like a guy I just played with in Dayton, Ohio, in the East Coast, was just named an assistant coach for the Columbus Blue Jackets. And it's like, so as players, we were in the East Coast and now you're coaching the NHL guys? It's like
Wow.
maybe the hockey brain is different than being able to actually go out and do it, right? And when I
Yeah.
played against you, you had a hockey brain. I knew who I was up against.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that. It's very nice things to say. It's yeah, I don't know. Like I said, it was a challenge, right? You just want to make sure you're doing a good job. And it was maybe more of a personal challenge than anything else. Cause up to that point, I've been doing a lot of kind of what you were doing. We watched hockey, played hockey, been around the pro hockey, but was just doing, kids, minor hockey league stuff. So now you learn a lot. Like we've talked about, you learn a lot doing that, but it's still not the next level. So I
Right.
took it
It
kind
is
of a fun
different.
challenge. It's just a fun challenge to be, and like you said, it's so fun to be around that group of people again. And you talked about Switzerland. The one guy, he played in Switzerland that year before, like come back to he's in the American League right now, but just straight away, like the hockey world's so small, being able to chat, like, hey, what'd you think about that rink? Is it still the same? And you can kind of relate to those things when you're talking to those guys. He's like, what'd you think about the style? I was like, what'd you think about the style? He's like, oh my God, there's no dumping in. It's circle back, circle back, circle. I was like, yep, that hasn't changed. Yeah.
It's basically like talking on here. It's like
Same idea. Yeah. Very similar.
everybody that comes on, it's like, well, if I go through your past, I'm gonna find somebody.
Yeah. That's exactly it.
And I'm
So,
gonna know where you've played and what it's like because we all mucked her up in a lot of places, or we know people who did.
holy, that's the experience that we all look back on now, right? Like what a time. What
Well,
a
and
time.
I did post the picture that I mean I talked about us winning in Munich. But you also won in Ravensburg, and I had you and Benny and Maloney and Levion, and they're all around that same time. Benny was running amok, and Leon's wearing 29 because of him. I talked to Ravensburg a couple year or nearly every year. My agent would say they're interested, and it never did pan out. But then I find it weird that Well, I'm too loyal, I think, when it came to hockey, that when Bietigheim, I knew they had no money, and they said, we just want you to stay through these tough times, and then we'll get through them, and then you'll still be here. And I'll be like, okay. So then you sign up to lose for a couple years, and it's just miserable. It's the worst ever, losing all the time, and your team's not good enough, and you have all these kids that just aren't doing it right, and then they don't want to listen, and then you're like, oh, this is painful. And
Yeah.
then you see you guys over there winning and having fun and skating around with the best power play in the league, and you're like, whatever. Um, but where did you guys win? Did you win in Ravensburg?
Oh, we won it. Yeah, sorry, we did win it in Ravensburg. And so, like, as you know, the Derby games like that, we won it against Schwenningen, which and that at that time because we were there at the same time. Everyone wanted Schwenningen to go up, right? Like that was the big thing. That everyone was
They were
trying to make.
trying to get them up.
Yeah, they're trying to get them up, and so we played. It was always back and forth. Weird best of five final. Like we never got that. The first two rounds are best of seven. The last was best of five. It really
Uh,
makes no sense. Should be
Does it
reversed.
make any
Yeah.
sens?
Anyways, but it's first round best of five, last two games best. Anyways, but it doesn't matter. So we won the first game pretty handily, and then the second game, remember we were up 3-1 and we blew it, and they tied it up with like 2 seconds left in the game, 3-3. But we somehow came out in overtime. We did. We regrouped. It was probably great. They only scored with a couple seconds left to tie it up. But you could just imagine the place was going just
Oh,
tough place to play in, right? Shawinigan, like crowds were good. It was a good place to go
I,
play on the road.
I don't. If anybody's listened to us from that hasn't played in Germany, I don't think they have any clue what we're talking about. Like when
No.
we talk about atmosphere and loud and what they can be like, it's I've never seen anything like it.
Well, it was when that moment when they tied it up 3-3 to go into game two, like I remember looking up and like being like, this is bananas. Like this is like you almost felt like we'd lost like the champion. Like it felt that was so loud. I almost thought that was like the deciding goal to win the championship. But lucky it was at the end of the period, so we regrouped and we found a way to win it in overtime. And then we went back and it was a tight game. It was good, but and you can imagine the crowds going back and forth because it's the Derby, the two teams that hate each other the most, and there's all this stuff of the
And they
Schwenningen's
really
like,
do hate each other. Like it's weird how like fans like actually hate each other because they're from different towns.
yeah, exactly,
And then you
exactly.
go to the UK and everybody like they can or beat each other up on social media or whatever, but like when they actually get to the rink, they get along and there's lots of them that are friends with other teams fans, and they're like a hockey family, and then they go to this playoff weekend where all 10 teams fans show up, and they all just have a weekend, and there's only 4 teams there, but all 10 teams fans show up and just celebrate hockey. And then you go to Germany and there's like it's like the hooligans and soccer football, and it's like Hellbrun against Bietigheim, there were fan clubs that like got kicked out of the arena for years because they were like full blown having gang fights.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. And you know that sometimes if you lost a game, like some of the stuff that was getting thrown on the ice, like lighters and like it was great knowing that. Luckily, nothing ever happened when I was there, but the fan like they took it like they played the 60-minute game and lost it. Like it was crazy.
It was crazy. That's the part I remember was in Garmisch, my first year with Landshut. We smashed them. I think we were up like 7-0, and they were having a tough start to the year in old Garmisch, the
Yeah,
Researcy team.
yeah.
But anyways, the end of the game, they were selling glass beers, like glasses in for beer. And they started to let the team know that they sucked, started throwing them on the ice on the last shift of the game. The game was ending and there was glasses smashing on the ice around me. And I was like, this is nuts. And then the next time we went there, they only sold plastic cups. So they learned.
Probably a smart move, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, you talked about the sounds, and I think that triggered when you said that. I remember when we won the last game, we came from behind, we were down 3-1 with like 10 minutes, no, 2-1 with 10 minutes left in the game. We scored one with six, and then another one on power play goal. So we went ahead 3-2. and ended up winning it. And I remember like, that feeling, the sounds, like what was going on. And one of the fans off Shawinigan and their little fan block had like pulled down the fire thing. So the fire thing was going off. Like it was, people rushing the ice. Like it was, yeah, those are things that'll never leave your mind or your memory for as long as you live.
No, and it's weird for me because I was pretty young when I won in Germany, but there's been a few things happened since. But winning under 13 all Ontario championship last year with my son and all of his buddies, and the way they did it was like I still remember all the plays and the goals of like we were in the finals and we were running amok. We're up 2-0, controlling the game. Life is good. We're going to win the whole deal. And then, well, they got a lucky one from center ice. It snuck in. And then all of a sudden it's 2-1. And then a couple shifts later, it's 2-2. And then all of a sudden we're in a hockey game. And then they score again and they're up 3-2. And I'm like, so this isn't a best of 7. This isn't a best of 5. This is a one gamer. And now they're beating us and they're not as good as us. And I was like, we have come back so many times. Like, do we got this in us one more time? And then it was the third period. We tie her up with 6.5 minutes left. My boy Daltz that scored so many goals that nobody ever paid attention to. He's the type of guy that scores 2 goals a game and nobody knows and nobody even pays attention. And then you start realizing it and you're like, so he scored 2 goals again. So he scored 2 goals again. And he's just crafty around the net. So he scores to tie it up. And then a kid I switched from defense to forward, and the parents trusted me and let me do it. And he had played defense his whole life. And he was like my Eric Lindros. He was my horse, my big, strong centerman, my captain. And he scores the game winning goal with 3.5 minutes left. And then we win it all. And like to have that moment with your son, but then all these kids that have become your brothers all year. The coaching things bit me right hard. I'm all screwed up.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I mean, championships are championships, and it's whether it's to do it with your son and have that, and then like in a tight game like that, and that's pretty cool.
Well,
That's
and
it's
I
pretty
always say there's the Stanley Cup, and everybody just talks about the Stanley Cup. It's like, but and I know there's a lot of trophies around the world that people get to win, and
there's
they're
a lot
all,
to,
you
yeah.
have to beat everybody to win your trophy. Doesn't matter what league you're in.
And it means a lot to, it meant a lot to Bietigheim. It meant like everything to Ravens. That means a lot to those people because that's a championship. That's the highest thing that your team can win at that level of hockey or that level of whatever sport you're playing, right?
Yeah, and it's the same with Kincard in Ontario, Canada. Like it did mean a lot, and now we have the banner up in the arena, and I tell you, it sure is fun beating everybody.
Yeah. Somebody always said that. He said, I know, I mean, we've had friends that have had their stuff retired and that, but I remember when we played with the Hitman and the guy said the banners, like, they're there forever, right? Like no one takes a banner away from me and it's there. And it's always going to be there as a team, and those are the things you'll always remember as a group of players.
And it's weird when you don't go back to the arena for a while and you haven't seen it, and then you go back to your hometown to Elmira, and then you see the banners of what you did 24 years ago or something, and they're still up there, and you're
Yeah.
like, so these kids that just did this, that's up there forever.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and they earned it. They went out
Yeah.
there and did it together, and seeing it as their coach was like, it was crazy stuff. But the Germany celebrations, the original poster pics you sent me, which you haven't sent me ones for this time, but you're gonna have to if you have any new ones. But the one where you were doing the same thing I did in Bietigheim. You had like a parade and you're holding a trophy and all the people are behind you. And you see what it means to people, how many people are behind you. When we won in Bietigheim, I couldn't believe how many people showed up to the parade.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I remember you got carted in and I was a that team that wanted to lift the trophy and have that experience and not like that, but that was just kind of the bonus, I think, to everything. But I remember I was the guy who had to carry it up to the stage before they started making their big presentation. It was whatever Ravensburg Tower Star Day or whatever, whatever it was. It was sign this on the city hall thing, and you signed the book. And but yeah, that was pretty neat to be,
Well, and
to,
you were the captain too, right? Like that makes it even a little bit more special. I know I've never worn a C in my life. Never did, never will. So it must be a great honor because just being named assistant captain, which is more what I was not that guy. I was the guy that brought it all together and I'm with the captain, but like I'm not that guy. But being named a captain in Germany as a Canadian and then winning it all, I mean, that's fun stuff, eh?
yeah, like my kids were, it was pretty neat because we had such good ties there. Like our kids were going to school there, and like we had friends not just within the hockey team, we also had friends in the community. So, and yeah, it was pretty neat to be able to kind of, you felt like a part of that city, I guess, and you just realized how important that was at that time for those people. And at that time, Ravensburg was trying to, there was these talks about teams going up, like Bietigheim was always in that mix, and then Shawinigan was a team, and we heard Munich and Ravensburg was always in talks too. That was one of the blurbs, and so that was the idea why they spent a little bit more money on guys to play in the second league than, I was getting more offered more money to play in the second league than the first league because the idea was to win something and then maybe move up. So there was all that buzz around it. So everyone's like, okay, what's going to happen now? Are they, they staying, they're going, and but it ended up working. They didn't do it, but yeah, lots of exciting stuff.
Sounds very familiar.
Yeah.
I went to Landshut, did well. We went to that best of five and lost in game five to Castle in overtime. And then they all became DL players and their team moved up. I went to Bietigheim in the second league with the bigger budget because Landshut said they couldn't come near matching. So I go there. We do the thing. We win it all. And we had guys with it in their contract. If we move up, we make this much more money. And the plan was to win and
Right.
move up. Well, we go ahead and win it. Well, Porsche loses all their money the same year, and then Bietigheim does not move up, and then doesn't have the same budget the next year. And we weren't DL players. And then the team we had beat, Munich, basically comes back with the same team next year. And we're not the same team. And I got hurt, missed the whole year. But then they win it. And then all those players that we had beat the year before go up to the DL, and then they're DL players and have that on their resume. And then they can go other places and do other things because it says they played in the DL. It's like, well, we actually beat you guys. And now
Yeah.
none of us get to do any of that. And then our budget kept going down and I stayed loyal. And then we start losing. Then you bring in new coaches. And then it's like, so I went from having a parade in this town and having the best time of my life and feeling like this is the best place on earth to then
Mhm.
losing and losing and losing and losing. And then it's like, and now you don't even want me back. And I stayed here for you guys. And I'm like, wow. It's amazing the contrast in Germany playing hockey from winning to losing. And it's not just at the rink, it is all out through the town because, like you said, the fans they take it personally if you don't win. Like they almost feel like you've let them down on purpose and you didn't try hard enough, you
Oh
know.
yeah. And you probably felt it too. Like every home game was, especially this time of year, it starts to get fun when the crowds are a little bit. They're like it's packed, right? And and it's almost if you lose at home, it doesn't feel like one loss. It feels like you've lost like three or four in a row.
Oh,
That's what
every
like
game felt so
you can
huge.
lose on the road and no one's gonna care as much as like, but if you lose at home,
It was it's weird, right? Because then when you get coaching and you've seen these things and you've seen the different way hockey can be in other places, it's like, well, I can take away that good thing like Cabina Fest, but I'm not going to take away the too high, too low after a win, you know?
I always think of like how great that atmosphere was. And I went to a Flames game here about a week or so ago, and I thought to myself, you want to make these games like really entertaining and really fun? Imagine if you had a fan block right behind the opposing net. I know those are good seats, the prime seats, but you can imagine how different your games would feel if you had something similar to what the European soccer or European hockey does. Like it would just change the whole
Oh,
and like how hockey games would
do you
do to
know
you. Like
how hard it would? Well, I don't think it would be hard to get the real fans to buy in. The real fans would buy in, but the people that can afford those tickets aren't going to buy in because they're going to be in
that's
suits.
what that's the problem, right? But just imagine if you could have something similar to that. How different hockey. I mean, they're doing it with soccer. You see it in Toronto FC. You see all these places that are doing it because that's the way it is done over there, and no one understands unless you played in European hockey. And whether it doesn't matter, it could be Italy, it could be Germany, it could be like it's all the same. The fans are
Well, and that's what, so my background story to that is the Cardiff Devils that I finished my career with. They did get into the Champions League after I was done and got to go to Europe and see that. And the UK never had that. And then when they got back, they decided they were going to turn Block 13 into that. And they're going to try and do that in Cardiff, Wales. And then for some reason, they had me back for a Wally night. And for them doing that, I was like, well, I need to repay you because I don't really understand why you're having me back of all the guys that have been here. They were trying to get that going, and I had spray painted myself as the goat, Joey Martin, who his first year in Cardiff was my first year there, and now he's just broke the record for most points ever by an import and all this stuff. And he's having a testimonial June 14th in Cardiff, Wales. I may or may not be there. We'll see. But anywho, um, that Wally night, I was already spray painted as him. They'd give me a jersey, so I'm wearing it around. And then it's 0-0 in the third period with like 6 minutes left, and we get a 5-on-3. And I'm like, well, I plan on supporting your standing section. So then I want to help get this going. So then I went down into that section, asked a young gal for her big giant flag, and ripped off my jersey and shirt. And then I was spray painted as the goat. And I waved the big flag in the crowd and tried to get her going. And then there were a few videos of me taken that night, and it did get around the internet a bit, and back to my office in the real world. But I was trying to support them and get it going because I have seen what it does. And I have seen what those sections can do for players, that if you can play harder, if your fans are cheering harder for you. And now that Block 13, it's a real deal. These guys got topless and spray painted just like me 5 years later, last season.
no way. That's awesome.
It's
Uh,
crazy.
I just think it could be done. Like I love to watch NHL hockey, but it like you kind of go in there, and especially in Canada, right? You get a lot of suits, and we're almost too knowledgeable about it, so we're just kind of sitting there until unless it's playoff hockey, we're not really over the top unless it's some sort of rivalry game. But like, man, can you imagine if we had a little fan block on whatever section that was? Like, that would be the life of the party.
Once you go to Germany and see how they're cheering and how hard they're into it, and well, in Europe in general, and then you come back to North America and they're just sitting on their hands. They're not doing anything. They just sit there and watch the game. They don't actually
Yeah.
get involved
No,
unless there's
no,
a
they
hit
don't.
or a goal.
Yeah, or a fight, right?
Yeah, that's about it. Otherwise, they're just sitting there watching the game. In Germany, they're jumping up and down, beating drums, topless, doing whatever.
And you know what it is? It's an event, right? It's the time before the game. They're out like tailgating. Like, why is a what amount of money you can make if you're just tailgating? Like they do it in the playoffs. Why don't you do it all year round? Guys are crazy enough to sit outside and have a glue vine and before they go into after the -20 weather into the Saddle Dome to watch a game. They
Right?
do it.
Why, if you had glue vine outside, I guarantee people would drink it. It would keep you warm and ready to cheer, right?
Anybody, and you get your little bratwurst, and you're good. You're good. Your bun, your hot dog, and a hamburger bun. Yeah.
So now that you've done this with the Flames and you're doing the shooting thing and you still have your gym, I'm guessing.
Yeah, we're still doing the gym thing. Yeah, that's still going.
So
So
you're
yeah,
busy.
in the
So then
morning. Yeah,
where do you want to take this coaching thing? Are you just gonna go with the flow and see what happens?
yeah. I don't think it was like nothing that I was like I said to you. It's all happened pretty natural or organically, however you want to put it. But
Mm-hmm.
I don't know where it'll lead to. It's just I said it's like a good opportunity to go in and just see what if you even like doing it or where it might lead to it. I mean, even just meeting the guys was really neat. Like I'm gonna try to get to a Wranglers game because now it means something because I seen these guys on the ice and some guys are really great and I'd be like now I know who they are and there's maybe a connection there. So I think that's kind of fun. I don't know.
Totally agree.
We'll see if I get invited back. See how good of a job I did. They
No, but it's yeah, the connection and caring is what changes everything. It's like I could go watch a minor hockey game, and if I don't know anybody, I don't give a shit about nothing. I don't care who wins or loses, but as soon as there's a kid out there that I know or have coached, I'm right invested. And it's the same like watching an NHL game. It's like I watch a game, I don't know anybody. It's like, whatever, who cares? But then I watch O'Reilly play. I'm like, shit, I've seen you do that on the ice before, you know?
yeah, you're just more engaged in it. You're gonna take the time to watch it, and it just it hits a little bit different, right?
It does hit a lot different. And it's like the two kids from last year that then go make AAA. And it's like, well, I need to go see you guys play AAA because I'm into this now, you know?
Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, the guys when I talk to them, they're like, yeah, I think the mentality. The couple of guys said that this is a lot. They remember talking to them a little bit, and they just said, hey, it's kind of nice because the guys we've had in the past, they come in and it's almost like they're trying to like prove that they're really good coaches, and they're like blowing them down and telling them to redo things. I'm kind of like, no, like this. We've been in that time of year. Like this is, I'm going to give you great drills to do. Get the feet moving, touches, boom, boom, boom. Okay,
Yeah,
you guys are over there for 30 minutes. Who needs me to pass them some pucks or
right.
whatever that
Do
looks like.
whatever you guys want to help you guys get better because I'm not your actual coach.
Yeah, but you could see it, right? Those guys coming in being like, "Well, geez, I gotta prove, like, oh, blow it down, come on, go again," yelling at guys like the season hasn't started. They're gonna get enough of that during the season. They don't.
100%. It's summertime. It's time to have fun, enjoy yourself, relax, try and get better, right?
Yeah,
The
exactly,
stress is
exactly.
coming.
Yeah, exactly. It's coming. You're gonna have enough of that. Yeah.
I don't know what it was like for you when you had kids. I just thought of this now. But when I was a player and I'd never had a kid before and I was just playing hockey to play hockey, once I had a kid, I had like a few months there where our team wasn't doing that well and I wasn't doing that well. And I was like all stressed out. And I was like, so I've gone down this path, this hockey playing thing, and now I got you forever. And I'm like, so I got to start scoring some fucking goals. You
Yeah, I
know?
gotta look after you.
Yeah.
Someone's gotta pay the bills. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I don't know. It was just a different experience once you have kids and you're still a hockey player, you know? But it got better once he
Yeah. I
was
think
like
you
in the
also
room
realize how
passing out the
much.
beers in Cardiff.
Yeah. And I think you realize how much maybe you don't have to used to be like so regiment, like in your schedule. And that kind of goes away a little bit and understanding like, okay, maybe I don't have to maybe do as all that stuff that I think I needed to do. Because I've been doing it for 10 years or whatever,
Right. You just actually have to go play the game.
just go play the game. Yeah.
Yeah,
Figure it out as you go.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
Well, do you have any questions for me before we shut her down? Because I don't know when we started or how long we've been talking, but it's been a long
No,
day again.
no, I just good to catch up. It's been, I know, yeah, you get better get to bed. It's late there. But no, it's always good to catch up with you, Walt. I
No,
appreciate it.
seriously, I love it. And I like when good things happen to good people. And well, you're a hockey guy and well, you're a leader and a captain and a champion. And then when I see you get out of the game and then getting sucked back in, and it's like the same things happening to me, and I don't know, it's weird that it like keeps sucking me in further and further. And I really am enjoying the coaching. And then when I see a guy like you doing what you're doing, I just appreciate it. And it's like watching that guy played within the coast get an NHL coaching gig. It's like, well, I'm fucking proud of you, you know?
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And what you're
yeah,
doing, running Flames practices, is really neat. And it's like I was mucking it up with you in Germany, and now you're running Flames practices. And I'm like, well, that's cool. And I want to talk to you about hockey.
yeah. No, I appreciate it. Yeah, and like I said, it was a great opportunity to just kind of be around it. Fun to be around it at that level. Fun to be around it when you have kids and what you're doing. It's all enjoyable now that you kind of take a step back and realize what's important, right?
It's right. It's once you put in everything you had and do it, and then maybe everything didn't go the way you wanted it to, or you didn't make the money you wanted, and then it's all over, and then you lick your wounds for a while, and then all of a sudden what you loved about the game and why, and the team atmosphere and playing the game and beating people at it, sucks you right back in. But then it's like for me, seeing the kids become like a team, and even the parents, and like becoming a hockey family. It's like, well, this is what I need in my life. Like I need a team,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, that's what it is. Yeah, I think you hit it on the head. You just realize, the what you grew up with. Watching, especially watching the kids, you realize like just the love of the game, like love going to it, the love like doing really well or coming big win from coming from behind. All those things, those were the things we all played the game for. It wasn't to go make a gazillion dollars. We just loved it.
Yeah, 100%. And that is why I wanted to have you back on. I know I had you on quite a few times, but you know what? You keep making plays in the hockey world, and I like talking to you, so I'll keep having you on. So it
Yeah,
is what it is,
anytime.
right? And
Let's
people
do
think I'm going to run out of people. All these shed guys making plays around the hockey world. What am I going to do?
it. Can't turn down the good play, right?
Yeah. But thanks again for making the time for me, and it makes my Thursday night better. It makes my Friday better, and it puts me in a better mood. And thank you for making the time for me, man.
Anytime. It's great to catch up.
And this has been another episode of Two L's and Hockey Tales with a couple of Zweite Deutsche Bundesliga Meisters, Kincher and Wally.